Hello, everyone. How we doing tonight? Has been a while since I've done one of these. Looking to start again here and there. Definitely won't ever, well, anytime soon it will not be any sort of schedule, but definitely looking to start doing them again because I have noticed how useful they are. Can I get a quick sound check? Can you guys hear me all right? Can you guys see my screen? Give me a quick confirmation in chat here. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys. As I said, it's been a while. I'm doing great, SJ. Thank you very much. Hopefully you are too, right? Haven't spoken to you regulars in quite some time. So I do want to apologize for that, but it was a much needed break, much needed rest, especially from these calls being on the same days. Like you guys know, right? I got into trading to have some more freedom with my time, not so that I can have something I have to do every day. And these were super fun, but now they have gotten to become a responsibility, which I didn't like. So just had to get off of that. I'm going to be starting again here and there when I see a very valuable day. Like today was one of those days where it was a little harder to navigate, but there was still plenty of opportunity. So on days like that, I really like to do these PA reviews, right? I feel like that is when they are most useful. And there's some big stuff coming for Ray Statistics. Once that is done with, I am going to start doing some more scheduled calls, if I can say it like that. But until then, it will be more so on the fly, just like this, right? If I say it in chat and you guys show that you want to be a review for the day, then I'm definitely going to hop on here and we can have a chat about what happened. So let's get right into it, right? Enough rambling. From the higher time frame, I do want to mention, if you guys were in the futures chat this morning, I was bullish from the day of. I was seeing a retracement into our range following this bullish move, right? These are drawings I've actually had on my chart for quite some time now, for like the last 2 weeks. And then we retraced into this range, returned to a discount. If we go to, I think it was a 4 hour that we had. Oh, actually, no, we had not returned to our first discount in efficiency, but we had definitely formed some upwards movement, as you can see as well from this bullish breaker. So, of course, from my understanding, I am looking for price to continue expanding from this high. But there is one very specific thing that we can see. From this previous week high to previous week low, we didn't close above it. So that also gives me reasons to short, right? This gives me a reversal pattern. The best person I've ever seen explain this, to be honest, and I don't like mentioning other people in these calls. That is true, but it is T Trades. He's a very popular member in the trading content area, and he is the best person to show these multiple candle patterns. He calls them candle one, candle two, candle three. And the fact that we took out a high without and then closed back within the range of the previous candle is a very big sign that we could look for downward pricing as well. So both shorts and both longs, right? If we look at ES, there's also a lot of SMT with ES reaching all-time highs. So what do I do on these days, right? Very simple. We have both criterias to short and long. I don't choose. I just trade both. So on days like these are actually my favorite because I don't even have to think. All I have to do is look for a setup, and if that setup happens, then I can take that trade. If we go down here to the lower time frame, the 1 minute chart, let me actually remove these previous day and previous week levels so our chart can be a little bit nicer. We can see here, basically what I have is here, I'll switch it back. I was a little lazy this morning. I want to see every breaker block. The reason why I do 925 instead of 930 is because sometimes entries come at 930, but the breaker was formed, for example, 5 minutes earlier. So I want to have that on my chart, right? So any breaker block and unicorn between these times that also has a statistical target. That's the other important part, a framework. I need a target, a drawn liquidity if you're part of the ICT crowd like I was, right? I need a clear objective for me to take that move. But if that clear objective is there, then I can take that trade. So let's look at what happened this morning. Well, actually, the first two frameworks we'll look at, our indicator does not even show them. So I'm going to hide them. And I'm going to also explain why they don't show them. The first one would come from this SMT. Right? So if we look at ES right here, we have equal lows. I've said this multiple times. If you have actually watched a lot of my videos, you'll actually know this already. But when ES, when I'm looking for SMT, right? And ES forms equal lows, I refer to them as mitigated. That means cross, that means taken, whichever word you prefer, I refer to it as it is mitigated. So if ES forms equal and NASDAQ forms higher lows, then in that case, that is SMT, which means I can treat this low as if it was taken. And if that low was taken, as soon as we trade above the high, that is a bullish breaker block, right? It is a bullish breaker formed through SMT. That's usually a little harder, especially if you're not familiar with my model. That might be a little bit alienating, I guess is the best way to put it. These are very rare. I usually tell beginners to not even worry about these because it's so little of your setups. And see, today, that is what led me to trading this move, right? So you have the IFVG with the unicorn, that is with the breaker block that forms your unicorn. Now your 3PD array stop loss rule brings your stop actually further because you only have your IFVG and your order block. So where do you place your stop? Well, right here. That is the invalidation point of the breaker, right? Whenever we take a breaker block, a bullish breaker in this case, the invalidation point is this manipulation low, which is the C point, which we like to refer. But when it's formed with SMT, it's the same thing. This is still the invalidation point of my breaker block. So I can't have my stop loss pass there. And now if we look at the first objective you could have, which is current day's high at that point in time, well, it doesn't offer enough risk to reward. Once again, what is the rule with that? Well, I just wait for it to offer enough. And as you can see, it was basically within the same second. It dove down a little deeper and offered 1.7, which for me is the minimum amount of risk to reward that I am willing to take. Now, this is a good one because what do I do when price heads over and comes 1.5 handles away? A little bit more, actually. I thought it was 1.5. I think on MNQ it was 1.5, but here it's 2.5. So 2.5 handles away from my target and then has a big candle like that and then fully reverses. Well, I go break even. That's the simplest thing I can tell you guys, right? Am I pissed that it didn't reach my objective? Yes, but taking profits or fully closing the trade before that point makes me unprofitable, quite literally. I've said this before, but for my model to be profitable, I need a minimum risk to reward of 1.7 risk to reward, 1.7 R. So it's not worth my time. It's not worth, I'm just scrapping the trade if I take profits before then. I'd rather have a loss than be able to take out 1R, 1.5 R, because that doesn't lead to my profitability. In this case, myself, I got broken even. Once we had this big down candle, and then we traded back higher, I just moved my stop to break even. And as you can see on the next candle over, I got stopped out break even, right? So I want to take profit. I can't since it doesn't offer enough risk to reward. So what am I going to do? I'm going to de-risk my position by going break even. So today is going to be a lot of heavy, by the way, managing trades. That's the main thing. But if you were able to take the setups, even if this is a loss, well, actually you would have missed the short. So that's the only one, right? But as I was myself bullish, I was initially looking for a trade. 930 formed a nice little Judas swing. We also had SMT. Everything was there for a very nice short, very nice long, sorry. Just didn't work out. And next you have this candle right here, which as I explained, my indicator does not showcase as a breaker block, even though I myself consider it as a breaker block. I have my own version of this script, of this indicator, which I made to consider these breaker blocks. Now, when I initially released it, I got a lot of messages telling me, oh, well, look, this is only one candle. It was only making people more confused. And if you've been a long-time listener and a long-time member of this community, you'll know that my goal is never to confuse people. I always want to keep it as simple as I can. And this is not simple. I got to explain to people, well, yes, this is a range. And a range can be a breaker block. So even if it's one candle, it can form a breaker block. But that confuses a lot of people. So I decided to remove those from the indicator. Maybe I should add some form of mode to it. But for now, it will stay out of it. And as you can see, with this breaker block, that was formed right at 943, which also gave me the signal of, hey, I'm in this long, but I could look for a short. It was a perfect timing to just get out of my short. And as you can see here, breaker was formed here, But the first available entry, well, actually, if you were not in this long, it would be this short right here. I myself did not trade this. Very simple answer. I was still in the long, right? But if not, this would be your valid entry. So breaker block was formed here, and then the next candle over traded back into this inversion fair value gap. And with the inversion fair value gap, this has yet to be a fair value gap. Your stop would be all the way up here. Now, what would you first target? For me, it was midnight opening price. That was a very clear with these equal lows. But if we're being completely straightforward, your real target is low of day, right? Current low of day. But if I can have more than 1.7 R at midnight open, that is a key area where I can look for that. When I'm in Q, that big bearish candle didn't create the breaker. That might be why I'm a little confused. I was trading, I just bought this new eval from Lucid Trading. Thank you, Justin, for giving me the idea this morning. But I traded it with that this morning. So I was on MNQ, right? Because this is a 50K account. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense that that candle didn't create the breaker. So it was this candle right here, which leads me to the entry that I myself took, which is right here, right? So on MNQ, basically, this candle did not create the breaker. It was this one, which means that this was personally my entry. And then with this entry, you have fair value gap, you have the order block above, and then you have the inversion fair value gap, which gives you a little bit of a tighter stop. And as you can see, a lot more risk to reward to these objectives. So that's the trade I personally took. No monthly payment is goated. Is that actually how it is? That you just pay it once and you can take your time? I don't know. I never spend more than a month on an eval. I'd much rather spend a week and then either win it or lose it, and sometimes 2 weeks. So that's my maximum. If I spent more than 2 weeks on an eval, it's just not worth my time. If it's drawdown, I'll just go all in on a trade. I can't waste a month trading fake capital that cannot generate me revenue. So I'd much rather go high risk and pass them quickly. But I do understand. I've been on a budget. Trust me, guys, I was really fucking broke when I started trading. And I understand that at that point in time, you much rather just take your time and spend the least amount of money, right? So definitely a good one. I don't want to recommend them yet because I have never received a payout from them. This is my first ever account with them. But I'll let you guys know once I reach that payout. Should be, well, depending on the markets, might be 2-3 weeks from now. We'll see, but I'll definitely let you guys know. Just getting back over to the trade, this was my entry. And if I bring back the indicator here, you'll notice there was another breaker block. And now, of course, the huge inversion fair value gap, which you could have used to enter, but did not offer enough risk to reward. But then the fair value gap just above here, if you had your stops here, could have offered enough if you were targeting much lower. To me, that is just too late, though, right? I always use my implied dealing range, which is just a nice way of saying I split my framework. So the high, I'm calling the high to my target, and I split it into quarters, right? I just have this nice little, oh, that's the wrong one. I just have this nice little template here, and I say that I want to take my entries in this top section, the top 50%, right? Highest probability, of course, will be here. Well, highest risk to reward. Highest probability overall will be above that midline, that 50%, right? Yeah, I remember I can act text here. And all the way down here, that is going to be your target. Once we cross this midline, I'm looking to take profit. I'm not looking to add on to the position. So overall, very straightforward in this regard. Very straightforward trade that you could have taken. Of course, the little MNQ and NASDAQ divergence is a little weird sometimes, right? A lot less volume on the micros. And I'm not actually used to trading micros anymore. I switched back to minis on my personal accounts, but now I'm running a 50K, so I mean, I have to get used to it, right? I myself took a partial at midnight opening price, right? That is my statistical objective. There's also a very nice liquidity from the lows just before the news. That is just a great area to look for a partial, especially if it offers enough risk to reward, right? I want to take money out of this trade, go break even. And then current day's low came, which was my main objective. Now, from that point on, am I looking for a long specifically? No, I'm not expecting price to reverse. But that's not how I think. That's not how I look for trades. I don't try and predict things. I take the trades when there is an edge. And when is there an edge? When do I have expected value? That when I click on this button, if I click on it 100 times, I will make money when my setup is there. So if I have a bullish unicorn setup, can I take that trade? 100%. Now, of course, here I'm still in this trade. You guys might have seen in the futures chat, I sent a beautiful picture of how I almost got stopped out on this motherfucker, but I did not, right? So right here, I'm still short. I'm holding my runner. But once we take out opening range low, all of a sudden, I have a framework to go long. So what I'm thinking here as I'm holding this short is, well, first of all, let me trail this guy. But second of all, I'm like, hey, well, if we get a long setup here, I took out opening range low with SMT, right? So that is SMT at a key level. That is very important for me. So I have SMT at a key level. I have opening range low taken. Could we fully reverse and go back to the equal highs we formed this morning? Yes. Now, of course, forget everything that happened after lunch. We'll talk about it after. But up until that point, it was going great. It was definitely going great. So I myself took this long, right? You can see the breaker block form here. You can see my little guy right here. And then retracement into that inversion fair value gap. Super simple trade. You bring your stop all the way down here. You have the inversion. You have the fair value gap, the order block. And as you can see, it is a very, well, there's a lot of room, right? A lot of risk to reward. But how do I find a partial objective, right? The reason behind my partial objectives is, what if this move is not a reversal that will go all the way up to these highs? What if it's a retracement? That's always my objective. So what do? Well, now I have a range. So I'll use the range from the morning, the entire range, and I like to go on a 5-minute chart always and look for my first premium in efficiency. Now, if my first premium in efficiency is a little high, which in this case it isn't really, but often I like to go to a lower chart. So as you can see, it's the 930 open, so I won't draw it out, but it is the first order block in premium, which is from the 930 opening price. But when they're a little bit further, this one is like on the verge of it, I like to go lower time frames. So I could go to the 3-minute chart, or I could go to the 1-minute chart. These are the only time frames I use. 3-minute, same thing. You don't really have an inefficiency right near equilibrium, which is what I like the most. So I'll go to a 1-minute, and we'll notice, okay, same thing, forced order block. That will be my partial. So I'll be very conservative right now, but as you can see, at the moment my partial would have been hit. Well, the 930 opening price was reached right after. I just like to be conservative in these things, give you guys like what is the worst case scenario using mechanical logic. Right? I don't like to give you guys like, hey, this is a cherry picked, or this is what I have after creating this model and trading it for the last 2 years. Of course, I have more experience. It comes naturally to me. I made it, right? But it is not the easy choice, the simple choice, the choice that everybody could have seen. So I like to be a little bit more conservative here. As you can see, this was a pain in the ass. I don't know if you guys were in this trade live, but I was, and that candle really hurt my soul. But at that point, I was not anything. Well, I was actually break even because this was like my third trade of the day. So I was being a little bit more risk free. But overall, you never move your stop before your break even. That is before you took your partial, sorry. You never go break even before taking money out of that trade. So in this case, you would have waited all the way to that partial, or as I said, right, 930 open. No matter, they came within minutes of each other, and then you can go break even. And honestly, at this point, your break even should be a little bit more in profit to this low. If a low came down here, if we're trading down to this low, we're going to trade to your break even, right? Very straightforward. Took your partial. And then, of course, myself, I was holding all the way up here. It did not come, but I'm trailing my stop, right? It was Julian, actually, my friend today, that asked me, well, how do you trail your stop like precisely, right? What's your mechanical logic? Well, it's very simple. I look for ranges to be formed, and when those range break, when I see a breakout of some sort, I trail my stop to the low of that range. So if I'm going long, I'm looking at bearish ranges, right? So for example here, I have a bearish range. Once we break above that range, closing through, by the way, when I say breaking above, I mean closing through. So when we close through that range, I can now, let's just say this is my stop, all right? I can now trail my stop loss to the low of that range. And that goes for huge ranges and small ranges as well. So right here, I have a range. As soon as we close above that range, let me go back to a line that we can actually see. As soon as we close above that range, I can now trail my stop to the low of it. Of course, these smaller ranges are a little more risky, so usually I like to go for a little bigger. It's always proportional. I don't really have a size for it, but let's keep it 100% mechanical, right? Same thing. I'm looking for a bearish range. The next bearish range that formed, 2 candles. I don't need more. Then we traded through it. We closed through it. So as soon as we close through it, I trail my stop to the low of that range, and so on and so forth, right? Let's look at it. We don't have another range. The other range that formed is this one, but as you can see, you never broke above, right? And then I'm continuing the same thing, right? As soon as we break above, well, as you can see here, you would have gotten trailed stopped here. But as soon as we form a range and we break above, let's say we formed one. I'm actually looking for one, but we don't have one. But here, let's say you were still in the trade. You formed a bearish range, you broke above. I'm never going to bring my stop lower, but I would trail my stop even though it was further. Overall, pretty good. If you look at it, very simple mechanical logic, right? You're looking at ranges to form, and then as soon as we break out of that range, you can trail your stop to the low of it. You guys can tell me if that wasn't clear, but to me, that's definitely as simple as I can bring it for the best way to trail your trades easily. Now, of course, if you're trading something like Apex with a live trailing drawdown on props, it can be a little hard, right? You have to trail very aggressively, and then you're trailing too aggressively because you're scared of hitting that drawdown or having the phantom basically return, which is where your trade is up 5K, but you close it out at 4K, but now you're 1K in drawdown compared to your daily loss limit, your maximum loss limit. I forgot how they call it. It sucks. Yeah, it just sucks, Wolf. It forces you to trade less money, less size, which is good for them. Definitely. See, incites retail traders into forced scalps. Sure, right? You can see it in that way. For me, I never wanted to scalp, so what I just did, I just traded less size. So because of that, I could afford to give back a lot on a position because it wasn't worth much. But then that means that instead of passing the account in 1 to 2 weeks, I'm taking a whole month on it, and it's just not worth my time at that point. So definitely don't like Apex for that regard, especially when now there's so much competition on what is the best rules and the best price I can give. Right, there's so many choices out there, so definitely is a last resort in my book. But enough talking about prop firms, right? So you had a very nice long that could have gotten trailed right here. That is personally where my long ended. But there were some more opportunity. I mean, honestly, for me, I never trade the PM session if I've had 3 possible frameworks in the morning, 3 possible setups. Because the truth is, it's very low probability at that point, right? If I've had 3 potential setups in a day, like it's how do I find those numbers is actually the best way I can give it to you guys. I've backtested a whole lot. I've logged every single setup from every single day, right? And then I can tell, oh, what's the average amount of setups that come a day? What is the average amount of successful setups that come in a day? And I can tell you guys, there is very rarely more than 2 successful setups in a day. It happens. It happens about 12% of the time. So 12% of all tradable days, you will have more than 2 successful rise models. Is that worth, after seeing that there was 2 successful rise models in the morning, to trade the PM session? No, not at all. And don't worry, all of these stats will become available soon. There's a lot of people doing a lot of public backtesting on the rise model that are texting me, giving me updates and all that. And it's super fun, but I can't publish that under my name because I would need to verify every single backtest, right? So what I'm doing is it's going to be a part of Rise Statistics. You'll be able to see every single mechanical model that the Rise model offered. You'll be able to see the PNL over time, all the data you want, filter through it. Definitely going to be very cool for you guys trading the model. Also, that long you took was a beauty, very high resistance liquidity, but solid either way. Well, yeah, for sure, right? We had a little bit of a jerk off, I guess is the best word I can think of at the moment, right here, but the rest of it was super clean and simple. And as soon as I saw this candle, right? Whenever you see a big spike like this, like it's bound to say after closing back all the way here that we're just gonna run now. A lot of fuckery today, right? Definitely a lot of inducement of the highs here. It's gonna be a weird week because from a daily standpoint, now what I see is that hey, well, we took out. If I bring that guy back, we took out previous week's high and are now showing intent to go lower. So tomorrow will be very informative as to is this gonna be my target or is this gonna be my target? So definitely still a little bit on the verge in that regard, unclear to where we'll be going in that direction. As per the PM session, right, if you absolutely needed to trade it, for me, you guys know it would have been a lunch raid, but I could not consider taking that trade so close after inducing the lows pretty much. So if you see these lows, we came to trade so close to them. So I can't consider trading along here. I would need to wait for that low to be taken. Let me just mark it out. I would need to wait for that low to be taken. As you can see, there was no setup after. Actually, that might be my filter. Were there any bullish breakers? There was. So there definitely was a setup here. I personally will never see this as a good setup. It's way too late in the day with all those setups that came, but yeah, fair value gap, and order block. So would it have offered plenty of risk to reward? Yes. Would it have given you a clear partial objective? 100%, right? You have very nice low resistance liquidity on these highs, right? You have these relative equal highs. You have so much to look for. And was it enough risk to reward? Yes. And even with all of this, I'm saying this is a shit setup that I never want to take because these are the setups I should have taken, and this is what I traded this morning. Break even, win, win. This is amazing how you can see a story between the chop that price action displayed today. Yeah, this is, thank you, first of all. Appreciate you. It's my first time seeing you in here, I believe, so welcome. And yeah, the truth is, today was absolute fuckery, right? What did we do? We induced the highs, then went all the way down to just go back up, just to piss you off a little more, and then go back down, right? This was absolute shit, if we're being honest. But is there still opportunity? Yes. And that is why I said it, right? When I don't have a bias, I love those days because all I do is I look at every single opportunity that is offered and I go about it the opposite way of what people tell you to do. They tell you, oh, yeah, find a target and then find a way to trade it. Fuck no. I just wait for a unicorn to form and I say, do I have a clear target here? Yes. Does it offer me enough risk to reward? Yes. Let's go. I'm taking that trade. I don't need anything else. I really value the fact because I have a lot of issues mentally with trading. I honestly don't believe like I'm not strong enough to be able to fully control myself. So I need to set very strict rules so that there is no way I can't go around them, right? So for me, it's about I'm only trading that model even though I see so much. Right? And if you want to, I mean, you can look at what I have on my YouTube. I still have some old live trading videos you can see from a year ago, even a year and a half ago. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I know how to read price live and gain actually profitable insight from what price is doing. But it leaves so much room for error, and you never really know what to expect in terms of return. With my model, I know exactly how much I should average in a good week, in a bad week, in a medium week, and same thing for months, same thing for days. I know exactly how many setups I need to look for. Being a specialist is definitely something I would recommend, whether it's my model or something else, right? Definitely worth your time. I was expecting higher price, but thank God he just explained what to expect once the previous day high is taken and when candle closes back into the zone. You know, yeah, the 1, 2, 3, the T-trades thing, 100%. It is not a foolproof system. Far from it, actually. It is actually lower probability. But once you have a higher time frame target, and then you have that pattern, you have stuff lining about, it gives you a reason to short. But I also had a reason to long, so just trade every direction. Trade the first trade that happens. That's it. Fastest way to success is to find a model that makes sense to you, learn it, and stick to it. Love that. What I hate about that is that now, publicly, there are so many shit models, right? And that's why I want to do something about it. I want to be able in Right Statistics to have like data about so many popular things so that people can actually come see, okay, well, what is actually worth my time and what isn't? Because some stuff just are shit. It's very rare that I say that. And I mean, you guys know my OGs here. There is one specific thing that I talk a lot about that is basically the only one I shit on. Anything else I can get behind because everything works sometimes. So as long as it can be profitable, then find what works for you and just trade that. For me, I built a model around what I like. I like trading intraday expansions. I don't want to be in a trade for 5 minutes. It stresses me out too much. So my average trades are an hour. I trade when it's already slightly confirmed. So I'm never going to have the most risk to reward, but I'm unable to manage high risk to reward position anyways. Because when I see so much money coming in and so quick, all I want to do is take money out. So what does that make it? Well, it makes it that I basically take profit too early and then I'm not profitable on a low win rate system. And I like being right. So I want a high win rate. So I have high win rate, medium risk to reward, and I trade based on the higher time frame expansion. People still thinking that a 40 to 50% win rate silver bullet 1-to-1 R is a good model. There was so much when I started trading 2.5 years ago. Well, when I started looking into ICT stuff to trade futures, there was so many people saying, hey, silver bullet 1-to-1 and like 70% win rate. And then they would make a video and show 3 examples. I'm like, okay, sure. My first profitable model was actually around the silver bullet. Very straightforward. It just left too much on the table. So I decided to switch up and create this model right here. I didn't ask you guys, but do we have any questions? I am happy to spend some more time to answer some questions, right? First peer review in a while here, and we've been at it for 30 minutes, which is usually a little bit on the longer side where I like to call it, but more than happy to answer any questions. Too high? Lol, yes, I do. Go for it. Happy to answer them. I mean, there is a lot of content on the YouTube. There's one about the whole model. There is peer reviews. There are weekly outlooks, statistical monthly outlooks. There's a lot of content if you like this model and you like the way I look at the markets. So if you want to learn that, I'm always open to answering questions, but there is also a lot of content you can look at. We take the exact same trades besides that massing long. Love it. Love it. Yeah, there's nothing better than when I open the futures chat while I'm trading and then I see that people are in the same trade as me. I was a little bit sad to take that short when a lot of people were long today, so I kind of shut the fuck up for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, because it wasn't wrong to still be long. I just got broken even on my long and got a nice short setup, so I just took that. I'm seeing some of you guys type, so I'm gonna give you all a second to say your questions, I guess. Hard to mess up trading a completely mechanical system? Well, when you have experience, sure. First trade you were in, I know you were looking for shorts. The high. Oh, wait. My first trade I was in was actually a long right here. So it's a little hard to see because it gets cluttered right here, but it was this long right here. Did the high that created, that is a lot of highs, that created equal highs signal for you to look for a short? No, no. Okay, so I get your question. No, I don't see this as a signal to short. Yeah. So I don't see us failing to take a high as a signal to short. I never do. Actually, for me, inducing these highs is actually the opposite. It makes this high even stronger. But here's the thing we have to understand, right? If you get stuck in the fact that, hey, this is such a good target, we need to go there now, you're going to fuck up so much, right? If I was just taking longs, there were maybe 2, 3. Well, I mean, if I was just taking longs, I had a break even and then a win, right? But if I was so focused on this trade, on this target, I would have been fucked, right? The whole day. I would have just given back all my money. I would have had break even, break even. You have to disconnect yourselves, I feel like, from your targets, right? Because I do have a target. I understand this is high probability, and then I have my higher time frame objective right here. I have many reasons to go long, but can I go short? Well, daily structure suggests that this could be my wick of the day, right? Accumulation, manipulation higher, and then distribution lower. So I also have a reason to go short. So us failing to take that high does not give me a reason to go short. But since I have the setup here, I have a clear objective. It offers enough risk to reward. I can go short. So it's really focused on my checklist, I guess, is the best way to put it. So for me, I was long. I wanted to see that high. But then I have a short setup that tells me, hey, we can go to this low, statistical objectives, current low of day. Makes sense. Oh, I actually have a good question everyone will find value in. All right, I can't wait to read that, Wolfe. You still find the first presented breaker, aka unicorn, being the highest probability? Not recently. We've had a lot of consolidation in the open within, I'd say, the last 4 months, 6 months maybe. So we've had a lot of bullshit from 9:30 to 10 or 9:30 to 10:30 even. So today was pretty nice in that regard, but we still had like 20 minutes of consolidation before deciding on the direction. Right? When I started trading, 9:30 was trending like 90% of the time. Right? You'd see a 9:30 Judas swing and then bam, you're going to get a 100-point run in at least one direction. Won't always be the direction you're expecting, but in one direction, right? But now we've seen a lot more consolidation near the opens. Now, don't ask me for a reason. I don't have one and I don't want one. I really couldn't give a fuck. As long as I can still make money, I don't care. I simply adjust. And yeah, I mean, I have adjusted expectations. I don't believe that the first presented unicorn is still the best setup in regards to the day. Now, if you're going to scalp it, I mean, I could have made a bunch of money on this one, right? I still went up like 65 points. So there's still a lot of potential in the first presented fair value, first presented unicorn, so breaker block, I guess. But I don't regard it with as much envy, I guess. And with my model, where I look to trade some bigger moves, some longer term moves, well, definitely not the best. Or the one between 10 and 30, not really as well. I mean, sure, you can try and define a time, but you guys know my times. My times have not changed, and they will not change anytime soon. I look from 9:30, and if we're talking breakers, I give it a little bit of room. I trade 9:30 to 11:30. When I trade the PM, I like trading 1:30 to 2:30, but sometimes I also look at the last hour. Right, so basically there's 30 minutes I don't engage, which is from 2:30 to 3 in the PM session, which I very rarely trade and will very rarely trade something other than a lunch rate. But the main window is 9:30 to 11:30. Don't complicate it. There's no need to look at, oh, well, the first one is better or that 30-minute is better. Yeah, sometimes. I could give you stats that on that day of the week, it is 5% better to take the breakers that form in that time. Does that mean that this breaker doesn't offer you enough expected value for you to trade it? No. For you to not trade it? No. You should still trade it. If there's a setup between that 2 hour period, trade it. That's simple. You do that, you're profitable. Right off the bat, mechanically speaking, you can just talk to ChatGPT, make you a bot. It won't be able to code breakers correctly. Sadly, it's not there yet. And most people aren't able to. I've actually met someone who was able to recently. It was actually pretty cool. Oh, NJ's in here too. Good shit, brother. Breakers are something that was really hard to code for people for some reason. For the statistics to work, you have to take every setup. Well said, right? I was actually talking to Julian about this morning because he didn't take this short and then he was taking this trade. And I told him, well, since it's my third trade of the day, I just went half risk instead of taking a full position. And he's like, oh, well, I didn't take this short, so I'm trading it like that and I'm going to take this amount at partial. But I told him, even though you didn't take the second trade, you got to treat this as your third trade because it is the third setup of the day. And if you're looking at very in-depth statistics about the model, well, the third setup of the day I treat differently because it very rarely reaches full target. So I'm going to take profit more at that partial and I'm going to go break even quicker. And as you can see, that's actually what happened. It was a bit of a pain in the ass that it went all the way up there just to reverse. But I mean, if you guys follow the rule, same thing again. I'm bringing that implied dealing range. This is something I don't speak of too often, to be honest, but I'm going to bring it out right now. But implied dealing range, once we reach that last quarter, we should reach your objective very quickly. So as soon as it slows down, it's a sign that we won't reach there. or we have a much lower probability of reaching there. So that's usually a sign for me to take profit. Today I only had one contract left. I had three. I took one here, one at 9:30, and then got trailing stopped here on the last one. Pretty straightforward day for me, I'm gonna be honest. But if you look at the price action, it was not straightforward. It just makes it simple when you're only looking for one thing. I'm going to give you guys a chance for maybe one final question, perhaps. But if we're all good, we're going to call it a night here. Thank you all for showing up in numbers on this first PA we're reviewing in a while. Usually when I took a break, it was like 2 or 3 people that were coming back. So I'm glad to see you guys showing up in numbers. Glad to see some new faces as well. Epic review, stoked you're back, Ollie. Awesome. Gotta get back to work. This is recorded. Yes, sir, it is. It will be posted on YouTube as well. So feel free to rewatch if there are any parts that can be of service. Good to see you back. Thank you, NJ. As I said, we won't have any scheduled reviews, but when I see days like this that are just so valuable, I mean, I see everything that happened today and I'm like, oh, this is, I got excited this morning when I stopped trading. I'm like, like this is a day where it would be so useful to tell the guys about it, you know? Like this is so valuable, so much things, different things that are showcased. A day where just the first setup after 9:30 gives you 10 hour, like there isn't much to talk about. It's not really worth the PA review. Like I'm not out here trying to do these marketing videos. Here's the easiest way you could have made 10K a day, super simple. First, I don't give a fuck about that. There's no value in that. I hit my max TP of the day limit today. Awesome. First time in my trading journey. Congrats, NJ. Lovely to see it. A lot of stuff was said, Press. No worries. There's a lot of content if ever you're looking for it. Really hope all the new members watch this PA review. Lots of value. You tell them when they join. I won't. I mean, look, I give a lot of free value, but you got to work for it. At least go find it yourself. God damn. You know? Oh well. We're going to call it a night here. Thank you all once again for showing up. It was lovely. Definitely happy to be doing this PA review. And as I said, there won't be any scheduled PA reviews, but I'll be doing it here and there when I see some valuable. And don't be scared to ask for them. I mean, if I have 5 people telling me, hey, it was a harder day today, can you do a PA review? And I'll check my schedule and I'll be like, well, you know what? Sure. I mean, if it can be helpful. You guys have a great night. Good luck trading tomorrow. Be careful. As always, follow your models, follow your rules. That's the only way to make money in these markets. Have a good one, guys.